The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machinde, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good evening, Uganda. Welcome to this edition of the Hotline Show. It is a Monday, and of course we are into a new month, and we are coming to the end of this particular cycle, or this particular year. I hope some of the goals that you set for yourself, for your organization, you should have realized a few of them right now. If not, it is still well and good. We can continue the next year, or you can even do something as early as this year. The country is continuing, of course, to mourn some of the people who died in Bulambuli. That was last week after a mudslide took more than 20 lives as we speak right now. Those are just a few of the bodies that have been recovered. But according to the police, more than 100 people have been missing from the time these landslides took place last week. We really stand with the people of that area, and of course just show our sincere condolences and sadness, and our thoughts are with the families of the bereaved. And of course this is something that has happened before. It is not the first time we have landslides in Bulambuli. There was a time in 2012 when those landslides happened before, but even up to today we are still losing people in the Elgon region and generally in eastern Uganda. When it rains heavily, we always have mudslides. I hope there's something that is being done by government, especially on such a crisis. Or are we even taking this as a crisis, or it's business as usual? Because normally in this country something happens, and after a few days, a few hours, it becomes business as usual. We return back to the same notion. So I hope this is something that can call the government and the people and the stakeholders really to rethink how best we can resettle people in those areas that are prone to landslides that happen literally every year. So we are saddened by what happened in that regard. Still in the news, Dr. Kizza Besigye appeared at the General Court Martial today, and of course a lot of things have happened there. In a lot of remarks have been made by the defense but also by the prosecution. Counsel Aaron Kizza raised a few pertinent issues here and there, but as we speak right now, the lead counsel for Dr. Besigye, Martha Karua, a former Justice Minister in Kenya, has unfortunately not yet got certification or acceptance to litigate in Uganda. So according to her, she will be receiving this accreditation or certification from the Uganda Law Council tomorrow. We wait to see what exactly and how this will really unfold. And does this really affect Dr. Besigye's case? We shall also hint on that particular issue as we continue with the program. But also lastly, the East African community is commemorating 25 years of working together as the East African community. Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania were the founding members, but as we speak today, more countries have been added to the list of the East African community. Although this is something that is very, very pertinent and something that Ugandans have looked forward to, and Africans generally, as uniting, we are not as united as the real sense of the word. You know, these days we are having abductions from Kenya and neighboring countries. We had the same stories here with Rwanda earlier on a few years ago, people being abducted and sent back to Rwanda. And how does this really affect the politics? And when we look at the trade itself, Kenya has been buying a lot of commodities from Uganda, especially during seasons of plenty. Does this really cement the unity? What can be done to create a stronger East African community, a vibrant? There is free mobility of trade and persons. That is something that we can also commend. So where are some of the achievements of the 25 years of this unity, and what are some of the limitations really that we can work to improve to create a better East African community? And for that conversation tonight, I have two gentlemen, candid, as I may add. One is from the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, that is NED. I have the Secretary General himself, Mr. Odaka Asuma, but also Mr. Honorable Joseph Ochieno from the Uganda People's Congress. Those are the two individuals that we have tonight, and we're going to be having that conversation. You can join in. Send in your comment, your message at The Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV, both pages on Facebook. But alternatively, you can use YouTube. We are also live on YouTube at The Alternative Uganda, but also at Digitalk TV. I'm going to start with you, Asman. You're always here sometimes, but it's been a while since we last heard you. Mr. Asman, how are you? And you're most welcome to the hotline.
Thank you very much, Edgar. Good evening. And my senior brother, Joseph, from Tororo. So when I say brother, it is not, I'm not just throwing around words.
Exactly.
And the senior one, by the way.
Yes, sir.
And then our listeners, yes, it's true, I have been away. You've been sending the invitations.
Yes,
that up country here and there and so on, one making ends meet, but also trying to build a young organization.
Exactly.
It is quite a job to begin building, and you know, you're building against this kind of environment that we all know. So that's why I've been a little away.
Okay, sir.
But following you and following Joseph when you were here every Monday evening. Yes.
Good. How is the need generally with your ideology? But it's a different ideology, just to add, from most of the political parties we have in the country.
Yes.
Yours is to bring back money to the pockets of Ugandans.
Yes.
How far along are you with your vision?
An ideology of a political party, somebody asked me that similar question.
Yes, sir.
But it is 1 year and some months ever since we started saying money in the pocket. But you see, you do not. Ours is to sell to you the idea and tell you how we can do it. And we do it, and you see, we ask for the steering. Give us the steering, you see how we drive the car. Yeah, because we know, we will tell you that the poverty in this country, and we've said it, poverty in this country has been weaponized. It is actually by policy. This is not, it's not that Ugandans are lazy. It is not that we do not have necessary things that can make Ugandans rich. It is simply because it is a weapon of occupation.
Yes.
And we tell you as a party, and like we've enumerated, and we are making our policy platform, a document like this, to show people that we know. If it is water, we know where the tap was, tightened. So all we will do when we have government is to untie the...
What you're trying to assert is that the poverty Ugandans feel is actually not by mistake. It's deliberate for them to stay in poverty.
It is. I will tell you that the most recent example is with the coffee, the recent fight in Parliament.
Yeah.
That he destroyed cotton, tobacco, all those traditional crops. And then somehow there are some regions that had started. You remember the issue with the coffee, didn't start actually recently. It started by the introduction of vanilla. The vanilla was actually to replace coffee. Vanilla, when some regions had cut down, the issue of Mwanyi Terimba, replanting coffee, was to replace the coffee cut down when they had been told
to plant
vanilla and cut coffee.
I'm here.
It was deliberate.
Yes, sir.
So when vanilla was really beginning to do well, they brought in the Moringa thing, Moringa campaign.
Yes.
Again, they were told to cut down.
They are trying to diversify.
So now, when it was not diversification, it was
trying to bring other cash crops.
No, that's
the ones that we traditionally.
No, that is what that was the rhetoric, yes. But the practice was different. Eventually, the people around where coffee used to be the cash crop realized that these were all simple. These. So they went replanting coffee. Now, the coffee production came back to what the UPCs left.
We're saying.
Now, they realized now, around where coffee now had started bringing again money, people had started seeing real money out of coffee. That is the resultant. So, people will talk about coffee. You go to, I've told you about the Toro region. The difference between the tea in Toro and the same tea, not processed, nothing. Tea in Toro is about now 2,700 now. In Mombasa, where they sell it, just transporting from there to Mombasa, it is 6,300.
Wow, that's more than double.
So if it is not by policy, what do I tell you? You talk about, you see this in Kabale there, where there is iron ore. I will tell you that the iron ore in Kabale, you see those trucks coming from Kabale, people think, and going to Tororo, Simba Cement, let me say it, because the people think they are actually taking rocks for cement. They are stealing the iron ore in Kabale. They take it to Tororo, Simba Cement. There are trailers that bring those substances that are used for making cement. Come from Mombasa, not lime, from Mombasa. Come and load them up, because them they bring things, then going back they load the iron ore, and they don't use the traditional Malaba Busia border. They go via Ruakaka and go to the official border. So there are a lot of things.
Lastly, who are they? Who are those they?
No, the people in government.
Okay, thank you
people
so much.
In government.
That is Odaka Asuma. He is from the National
So we will tell you that policy here, okay. I mean poverty here,
yes,
is just, it is managed.
Wow, thank you. Honorable Ochieno, you're most welcome, sir.
Thank you.
As you give us your opening remarks, I also want you to just highlight on the issues he raises, that the poverty that we see, that we decry, because this country is very, very poor, it looks like it's manufactured from a certain place.
No, not the country. No. The people are poor.
The
country
is rich.
Very rich.
The people in the country
yes.
are poor. Sir, you're most welcome.
Thank you. A critical number of Ugandans are living in dire poverty.
Yes, sir.
And it's criminal. In part, when I was coming to the studios, and in part because of the NRA mess, and in part because of the NRA infrastructure mess,
yes,
and in part because in order for me to come here on time, I have to dodge the Kampala mess of traffic. I kill 2 hours every Monday, just on top of my other travel. So in other words, it takes me about 4 hours. Literally wasted time.
To drive?
Every Monday, in order for me to arrive on these programs
yes,
on time, I will have to leave. If I'm to leave my home or my private office, I'll have to leave about 3.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on where, it's as early as 2 o'clock. Basically, in order to just come here, to spend the 2 hours here.
So practically, your day has lost 4 hours already. You're working out of 20 hours.
Indeed. And it's a prime day, Monday. But number 2, today I decided that because I was coming to Machinde, and there are some criminals in Machinde court, I don't know who they are. I suggest it's not Kizza Besigye. unless found guilty. I didn't know what kind of traffic in this direction I'll find. So I left with extra time and made an arrangement to meet a fantastic young Ugandan engineer. Very proud of her.
Yes, sir.
But as I was waiting for her, a guy came through my window, not far from Zambia, my car window where I was parked. And this guy asked me for money. And now I wasn't sure it was about a thief. Some members of my family and some of my colleagues in UPs might say, why did I? But I responded. And this gentleman was genuinely stranded.
Yeah.
He had walked from Kawempe. He had an incident at work. An average 38-year-old, he said. Certainly not mad, certainly not a thief, but absolutely desperate in a very particular situation. And so I gave him some money, but he wanted something to drink because he hadn't tasted anything since morning. And the other thing is, he had had a particular incident with Asian employees, rather Asian employers, today. I chose not to run with it very much because I was also quite busy. I was actually doing some global discussion on my phone.
Yes,
And I didn't also want a distraction, and I didn't also want to go too much. But I should have really taken much of this information. But with the Asian employers, net slavery, criminality in my country. And I say, why did my grandfather's leg get broken fighting for the independence of this country? Poverty in this country. While I was waiting by your studios, I had to have a conversation with a PhD doctor, senior lecturer in a public university, who was looking for rescue money for a teacher whose husband is also a teacher but has got health conditions, and they're desperate, wanted a rescue for their family. Now, that is not the kind of poverty that Usman is talking about. You can realize this is actually literary poverty. Literary, not illiteracy kind of stuff. But then if you go down to the bottom line, I just returned from Tororo. Broken bridges off Nagongera Road, and it's criminal. And shame on the people who beat up local councillor representatives and other activists in Toro. Shame on them. A few months ago, I went to Toro and had to call a press conference to deal with this, and I had to talk to the leaders, political leaders, including some of these NRA reps in Tororo about this thing. And Nagongera Road was broken, and another road was broken, and another road was broken.
Actually, Toro town is now an island of some sort.
It remained some kind of mini island.
Because all the road Malaba.
But yesterday, I got SOS rescue requests from Nagongera from 3 different people, and they're absolutely dire SOS messages. Now, Nagongera is part of Bukedi, which according to the recent multi-dimensional poverty index, Bukedi is the poorest sub-region. But you know what? Nagongera is actually not, particularly West Budama, it's not necessarily the poorest part of this country. But it's that poor. I was in West Nile, and I was in West Nile last week. Go to Zombo in West Nile and look around. There's something criminal these NRA bandits have done in this country after 40 years.
And what is that?
The deliberate impoverishment of our people, the containment of our people into their homes and villages like mini slaves, the criminalization and formalization and politicization, what Osman is talking about, it is actually net criminal. Do you know what, young man? It is actually net criminal. I was in a family in Zombo district, and that very large family, the highest level of education achiever was the woman we went to bury. She'd completed her senior 3.
Yes, sir.
20 years ago. In her wider family. Apparently in her family, there's even a retired soldier, so that would have gone up to senior 4. The most senior person in terms of academia in that family was a man, an uncle, who's often on the older side. The cousins, the nephews with whom I was engaging, were, I think, 3 senior 4 dropouts. And you look at this place, and you see nothing but despair and hopelessness and total poverty in the Republic of Uganda. So what he's talking about is neither here nor there. And interestingly, it's an area of coffee, amongst other places. And then you look at white families, and you realize, of many of the families, I did not know anybody in that family who's got access to 3 acres of land for themselves. And Museveni is walking around the company, campaigning on my money. I don't know about you. On my money, and my father's money, and my grandfather's money, and his. Okay? Nyongo, 4 acre model PDM. Do you know what? Basically, this guy's a bunch of liars. And you know, why did you start this topic?
It's a sad picture for the country, in your
It is there, and as I said, and between there, travel from Zombo, come to Nebi, come to River Nile, come to Pakwach, and I missed Pakwach Bridge by hours. Or else I nearly traveled to the other side of Acholi and I've been cut off. Museveni after 40 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for watching the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. I'm still with Honorable Joseph Ochieno from UPC and Honorable Odaka Asuma from NEED. That's the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue Political Party. I want us to first comment on the issues in Bulambuli. Sir, people are lost, have lost their lives, over 20 of them. But it's not the first time this is happening, Asman. And this is a region that we know is prone to landslides. It has happened before, many people have died, some have been relocated. Up to today, people are still dying because of these reasons. And I saw the excavation, and people are using hose to look for, you know, dead bodies of people, people who are missing. Sir, what is really your assessment on this issue of Bulambuli?
Number one, I am hesitant to call that death out of natural disaster.
It's a
because
death out
it is
of natural
not.
disaster.
Natural disaster,
Yes, sir.
normally, okay, well, if it is natural disaster,
Yes.
but they are out of things you could predict and so on, or you could not, you could be excused. But number one, this one is natural disaster, but out of things we could predict.
We know.
We know. And we know, and about 4 weeks before that thing happened,
Yes, sir.
some people from Prime Minister's office were around that place, and they were the ones shouting that there is going to be, there's a crack, and they did nothing.
The same issue of Kitezi, because also Kitezi was like that.
I'm coming there.
Let's continue.
I'm coming there.
Yes, sir.
So after 4 weeks, they went and they made a report, and there's a report, and they said there is a huge crack, and therefore we're expecting. Now, exactly after 4 weeks, the whole thing buries people. They are saying about 100 people, 110, and I don't know how many have been resumed. But look here. 2 years ago, is it 2 years ago? But every year, there is landslide. Every year. Whether it kills people or not.
Yeah.
Normally, you journalists only pick when it kills people.
Exactly, but sometimes it's always there.
But it is every year, sometimes twice a year.
Yes.
In that same Elgon area, but before that,
Yes, sir.
when this thing happened, do you know they called UNRWA? Why people were using the hose? They called UNRWA. The UNRWA boss in Eastern region said the graders they have issues with mechanical issues. And therefore they did not have. By the time they got, I think it is even a private company that took those graders that were exhuming people.
Wow.
That is a country for you that somebody has been in power for 40 years. Number two, you see why I am hesitant and I want to call it murder. Look at the Kitezi one here.
Yes, I remember.
You remember that even when the Kitezi thing happened, when it is when the Prime Minister and then Honorable Lilian Abe arrived there, that's when they are beginning to call the people with the, for people who are with the grader. And you know the laughable thing that happened. First of all, they realized that actually the graders were not for UNRWA. These ones in Kitezi, you remember? And this, likely that's what should have happened. The graders were for UNRWA, and the owner had even taken them. Now, even the owner, in addition to the owner taking them, the driver of had gone for leave. Can you imagine a country? How can you manage a country like that? So when you look at the entire thing, A to Z of the entire thing, it is simply negligent, it is simply incompetence of people managing.
Haven't they tried to resettle these people? Different resettlement.
But let me tell you,
I saw a couple of beautiful houses that
yes,
were built
they went.
them.
There are people who were resettled. You when you go to Bunambutie,
Yes.
Bunambutie there are people they built. You remember the number of houses they said?
Exactly, yeah.
They built less than a quarter of them. And even those that they built, it is themselves who took the houses.
What do you
Not
mean?
just the
What do you
people
mean?
who were
No. People in government. Let me tell you. And those were two things I have been studying. One, they did two things in Eastern Uganda. That one and the Kasoli housing in Tororo. Now, what happened was that when they were resettling people, they said everyone who is entitled to settle in one of these houses should pay 2.5 million. 2.5 million. This population that Honorable Joseph has been describing, to afford 2.5 million. Now, people who could afford 2.5 were coming from Kampala. You go and check the kind of people who went and settled in those houses in the Bunambutie are the very people who, the same people who settled also in our own Kasoli down there, the cheap housing estates in Kasoli. So everything being done in this country, you know, it is very painful.
Yeah.
You can't fail to call them criminal
Okay.
because they do things that are only annoying.
You also mentioned something about, I feel like they are reactionary. As government, we react after a problem. It's never about planning for the problem, and yet that is the main essence of a government.
Their issue, every time they plan to make a budget so that they steal, but not to help anyone. Any planning, any little planning, they plan to create a budget so that they steal. So that was... I would even hope that since this Kampala thing, where Museveni is the manager, embarrassed him and he took some of these people to
That's
prison.
what I was going to even ask
I
you.
thought maybe the Prime Minister, the ministers and so on would also now be facing criminal negligence before court.
Oh, okay.
But nobody is doing that.
Right.
So the entire thing, it is just government. But let me tell you a story.
Yes,
There's a story within the okay, it is an Arabic story that says that a country, there were two friends. One wanted to build, and then he had his metal bars. So he went and gave his friend, said, my friend, keep for me. I don't have where to keep these. He had metal bars.
Yes.
So this man kept the metal bars. So after some time, this guy came to pick his metal. I told him, my friend, sorry, the metal bars are no longer here because the termites came and ate the metal. The man said, what? Termites eating metal bars? So he said, okay, if there are termites that kill, no problem. So after some time, this man also said, okay, I also want to keep for me some bags of cement in your house.
Yes. The
So
one who kept the metal bag.
yes. So when he also came for his cement, they told him, no way. Eagles came and carried. Say, man, how can eagles carry bags of cement? He told him, where there are termites that can eat metal bars, there certainly will be eagles that can carry. So
Cement
in
bags.
a country where somebody goes and tells you they have stolen 60 billion from Bank of Uganda, How can you expect?
You want to preempt my discussion?
I'm not preempting. I'm simply giving you what is there.
Because everything seems to be
Abnormal, upside down.
exactly. Let me come to you, sir. What do you think about the people neighboring your area of Lambuli losing their
No, there are
lives?
people. So we are in mourning. There are people. We are one sub-region. Mbale was once upon a time the capital of Bukedi, our sub-region, in fact, as it was a district at the time.
Yes, sir.
Number two, this thing has affected part of Bugisu and lower part of Tororo. Number three, the waters that will have come from there are waters that up to and include the waters that come up to, including Nagongera. And so these things are related. In terms of deaths, not everything is accounted, not everything else hits the headline. But also then, of course, we focus on the big stories and the big news, not the day-to-day livelihoods, the kind of stories I'm telling you about families that I had to experience, including yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon before I left Tororo. And in fact, I think they were rather lucky that it didn't pour yesterday and the other day, because if it did, it was going to come to a mini standstill. The temporary crossover for Tororo is massive. My tiny little kawish, as my Mulamu Betty Kame would say, suffered. And so it's an extremely dire situation in the east. But lest you forget, it's also sort of the same, if not the same, as in Kasese and as I say, northern Uganda.
Even Nyamwamba always busts its
Now,
lungs.
I have called it criminal negligence, but I literally want to upgrade it to state murder. And the reason I upgrade it to state murder, not manslaughter in that sense, is because I have been at Lipano with somebody from the Red Cross, public discussions. Apparently, part of the national emergency discussions that has been taking place nearly the last 10 years, Odaka Asuma, is that these guys meet, this bunch, meet every month. Now, the expert guys on this, in terms of projections, are Red Cross plus others with the technology that exists, lest you forget, that exists to the precision. So what we're discussing with Asuman is the capacity of this, terror state that abducts citizens from Kenya has got capacity to tell which day is going to rain.
Yes.
And partly it's not their technology from their crude bushes from Luero. It's modern technology
It's just
about meteorology.
modernization.
These things are there.
Yes.
They're there.
Yeah. We
So
also have a full
in fact, all of us
institute.
have got.
We have an institute
You
here.
can even abuse that institute in terms of whatever. But I'm just saying the facilities that the information. So apparently, Red Cross has information to the dot for Bukedi, to the dot in every district as far as issues to do with disaster is concerned across the country. So really, what is happening is that as we discuss this, the state continues to murder. This NRA state continues to murder, and it's deliberate. It's deliberate because they've got the information. They have the information.
They have the information.
Because at times they have also put out this information to inform Uganda it's going to rain between this time and this time.
So
And we
there is
prepare.
nothing that happened in Bulambuli that Mr. Museveni's regime did not know. There is nothing that happened there, and that Nabanja, if she's a beautiful dancer and she can dance Kandodi, this woman, is she from Bunyoro? If she can dance Kandodi, and she's really, really, really a prime minister worthy of her name, she must have the information.
So is it just
You know,
adamancy? What is it?
I have told
that
you,
lets these
no,
things
I've told
happen?
you, deliberate criminal murder. NRA's number one object from the time these bunches came from the bush was to capture state, keep it for themselves. Now Mr. Museveni is perfecting the art of remaining there, and perfecting the art of remaining there for himself, his family, his extended relatives, and a few people, including a few from the east, who eat the crumbs. That is basically the reality. So basically, this is a stateless state, if you talk about state in terms of state institutions and systems that work. Now, Ugandans better wake up. That is actually the reality. And now part of my problem is, as Odaka is saying it from his chronic proverbs, no, these things are going to catch up with everybody. It will catch up with you, young man. Because some people think the Ochieno, no, this thing is going to catch up with everybody. When Nagongoro Road broke, it caught up with everybody, including the bunch of shouting NRA guys.
No, you mentioned something that when it rains in this city, for just an hour or two, you see the flooding that is literally everywhere.
I have told you.
So one time I asked if it ever rains for a full week non-stop.
It will not be a full week. I actually told that same program on Friday in Kampala that actually all it needed to do was to do another extra 1 day. And what I predicted 15 years ago about the state of infrastructure in Kampala, all it needed to, it needs to rain in Kampala here for 2 continuous days. Forget about the other one, for 2 continuous days, and Kampala will come to a standstill.
No, heavy rain for 3 hours. 3 hours.
Yeah.
It will come from a
It
standstill.
rains for 1 hour
Now,
and you cannot cross.
Now this rain is coming. This rain, and when Ochieno says global warming, and the NRA bandits feel excited, oh yes, it's environment. Nonsense, it's not. You know, they cut down our muvule trees. They built funny, crooked family hotels at golf course. They broke our swamps to build dubious settlements for Chinese and Indian and some of their own settlements. They like this open, and NEMA is there. Meaning it's a criminal thing happening on your watch and over you. And some of you guys think, no, you're doing a favor to Uchienos and UPC. No, we're waking you guys up. No, Ugandans, just wake up and abandon this bunch of NRAs and simply say, Museveni, you've had enough for 40 years. Some areas you don't accept, you don't have a clue because you came from the bush with the economics. You don't have a clue. Just let some other Ugandans start, and we begin to think as a nation state, and we plan going forward. Because some of the things which are happening, it's not going to happen. They're not doing it because they're not interested. Some of them, they just don't know. But the truth is, it is urgent what's happening in this country. So these guys have cut down all the trees. These guys have cut down all the forests. Even Mabira is gone. There are no trenches, there are no drainage. The infrastructure thing is dead. In 1988, Museveni boasted that his NRA engineering unit is going to build trains, and they're not there. You know, we continue to burn fumes in the streets of Kampala instead of riding bicycles and riding my train to Nagongera as they used to go to. So basically, yes, part of it is climate change as a part of reality, but we are least prepared.
Okay, it's talking about preparation. It brings me to the next issue of the $17 million that were robbed from Uganda.
No, the $7 million.
Yes,
which was taken by
more
the.
Than 60
no,
million.
it was not robbed. It was taken by the national thieves.
According to what we know right
It
now,
was taken by it was taken by the national
my
thieves.
question is how can just this money be robbed just like that and it disappears?
Museveni gave Rocco 500 million shillings. I told you program. Were you ever know it? You were not. Were you people know it? 500 billion. Museveni gave it to Rocco.
Yeah, even Lubowa is still
Those are part of the deal. So now, this, and of course next year they're preparing to come and give you new 5,000 Uganda shilling notes. So we're going to get rescued. So elections coming next year.
And
So-
they're trying to say
so,
we as directors Uganda.
No, it's a continuation of perfecting the art of national theft in a formalized way using funny, dubious tricks. The trips of Museveni going around to inspect, when you pour water on the plants, what do you call it?
Watering. Watering.
Planting those things across the country. It's not enough for the money. The PDM thing is not enough. Boasting about farms, whatever. I don't know how many farms Museveni's grandfather had. I don't know, for money, economy. I don't know, whatever kind of stuff. No, it's not enough. No, this is just basically eating and using of money. Now some of the officials around the country doing the thing called they're doing digital.
So you feel it's an inside job?
Of course it is an inside job.
Okay.
It's an inside job, but unfortunately, it's an inside. Had it been an inside job over Bank of Trump and America United, whatever, I wouldn't care. But it's an inside job on our money and my money.
Why do you think it's an inside job, sir?
And why not? Straightforward, common sense thing. In any case, actually, you guys in the media have even also already said some of these things. Bank of Uganda, public official, minister. Add 1 + 1. So who hacks? Who hacks for that, man?
They are hackers.
No, they're hackers, but this one is an insider job. Mr. Museveni just give us the report. So,
Okay, let me come to Asman. Asman, what do you think about that haste of the money of Ugandans?
First of all, the issue that it was through hacking is a new narration.
Asian hackers.
Yes. The original information was that the money was stolen.
yeah.
Where did you get this information?
You remember?
Asman?
No. From the public. You remember the issue of hacking is an invention of yesterday, and that's how they Bank of Uganda even released made a press release and told us it is hacking. But the original information is that the money was stolen.
Give us more about that.
That was up to yesterday.
That side that
and
you
we
have.
all know that when they talked about stealing, I think it is simply what Uganda would call chava tulira. Because, there are only 3 ways how money can be taken from the central bank. Number 1, it's through a transfer to the commercial bank. Number 2, a bullion van. Number 3, and probably somebody simply coming physical and taking it away. Now, when that was done, and there is a journalist called Kariejira who dismissed it and made a write-up. That's how they then changed and said it was a through hacking. So now, if the same people are telling you 2 stories, it reminds me a policeman at court martial who was giving evidence and said for him he has 2 signatures, all of them operational, and a policeman at the level of commission of police. So this country has so many dramas. Let me tell you. Okay, if 60 billion now, the second reason now. Second issue is that if 60 billion, what is 60 billion? He's telling you the man has given somebody 700 billion. He has given how much has Atiak sugar taken, and we have not seen a half kilo of sugar. Rubowa, how much has... Now, money is being thrown. So what is 60 billion? 60 billion is their pocket change.
But one would say
the third one.
There has been hacking before in countries like Japan.
Let me tell you.
In fact, countries like United States and robbed from
Let me tell you.
How
and now it brings me to the third point.
Yes, sir.
If they can take away 60 billion through hacking, which is our money which we can see. Now, how do we believe that our reserves are there?
Because the question is, was that the only money that was there?
No, they are not. You see, they are simply telling us. They are telling us only about the figure that we know. If you read their press, they are not even telling us all actually what they are not saying. It seems to be more louder than what they have said.
What is louder?
They are now only addressing only the amount of money. And not telling us whether there is investigation, where there is what.
No, they say they opened up a case. Police is investigating. That's what they say.
Now, let me tell you. When you say stealing the other day, and today you're telling us it is hacking, and that's the basis for which hacking. Let me tell you, we also have some little IT in us, and and unfortunately they are talking to a generation that knows IT. You do not hack. Now, Bank of Uganda, which hacker will go to Bank of Uganda and only take 60 billion and leaves you the trillions you have?
Or maybe that was what was
That's
there.
One. Number 2.
But Asman told you how they take money from Bank of Uganda.
Yes,
so you hack and then do what? So you hack and then it becomes magical.
No, you
the cash trucks.
You transfer it to your account.
This is really. So the hackers. Now, 2, I will tell you that. Now, when you hack, we have experts. Bank of Uganda is supposed to be having the best IT experts.
Yes,
Yeah.
We agree. That
Now,
maybe
if
they
they
should
are
be
to
the
tell
best
us
in the country.
now what preliminary report have the IT experts from Bank of Uganda found before they get to police, where do they trace the hacking?
The only thing
Because
we
you see,
know-
hacking has a computer has pathways invisible.
Yes, exactly.
You see, Have they, because me, I know 2 of my OBs who work in that department, very good people. Top IT gurus. You know?
Yes.
Top IT gurus.
You can retrace to understand
they can
at what
trace
point were
and
we
understand.
stolen
So
from.
what are they saying? Let me tell you, this was an inside job. Maybe somebody did not have some pocket change. I will tell you, there is no hacking here. And in this case here, they have released all that has happened in this country, scandals that are in this country. This will die. It's going to die with the time.
It's going to fade off.
When did this thing happen? This thing happened last week.
Yes.
Why did the Bank of Uganda wait until today at 11 before they release the press release? Today at 11. Something that happened last week.
But they have been commenting on it, and they even
Who?
talked about
Who? What was more? What was the? Why would they just comment about the money about the central bank? And
Okay, maybe comment on what they said, that they tried to write to the Japanese government to maybe freeze the account where the money was put, and it was not yielding any fruit to that cause.
Now, a government that can go without following any law to abduct somebody from foreign countries cannot, because there is, as banks, central banks across the globe have a network under which they communicate. How can Central Bank of Uganda, a sovereign country, fail to communicate with the central bank or the banking network is such a way that it is integrated across the globe. Nobody will tell you that, you see, central bank don't operate like our families. That, you see, Edgar, please, my chicken has run to your place. Could you please chase it back? No. These people, let them not think that they are dealing with stupid people. They are dealing with the people who are awake, who know 1 or 2 things about how they operate in those things.
Okay.
They stole our money. That money is an inside job. If it is not an inside job, it is normally fundraising. These scandals are common towards the election.
Edgar.
And maybe just to add, as you submit, just to add on, even recently there was a van that was stolen, robbed by its drivers themselves.
Here, somewhere around the Rubaga here, where they dropped the van.
They robbed $1 billion shillings.
1.6 billion.
What does this symbolize at a time such as this one, sir?
It's a police state. This is a nation in anarchy. Uganda under Mr. Museveni at the 39th year is a nation state in anarchy.
Anarchy is an overstatement.
No, Uganda is a state in anarchy. Which Ugandan institution works?
The president has praised UPDF.
No, which Ugandan institution works? An army that abducts? An army that abducts? So in our history, do you know that you compare that army with the Idi Amin's army?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. According to what they're doing, we can compare.
So which institution in this country works?
Unfortunately, Amin never abducted somebody from another country.
So do you get it?
Yeah.
So this is a state in anarchy where the official state steals. By the way, under Idi Amin, had there been a nonsensical incident like this,
yes, sir,
the Minister of Finance would go, the Governor of the Central Bank would go, the head of IT would go, the head of figures or whatever kind of thing would go, the chief of risks, I don't even know they have risks. In UPC you can advise on everything, you see, so even if you're not banking.
But Joseph, just information. We are talking about this one. Do you know that one time they went printed money, then they came and some pilots just disappeared?
And that money is still pending.
We forgot it like that.
Post Bank Uganda, which is the national still public domain, also has issues with money. Exactly. So no, this is a police state. So and it's a state in anarchy. And as I said, the mafias in charge of this country, from the time Bukenya told you, by the time Bukenya came and told you guys, for us we'd been telling you guys for 20 years. So you thought it was those Ochienos and the UPC. No. So it's a mafia state, it's a police state. I'm really asking Ugandans, and I'm sorry to bore you, Ugandans just need to wake up and know that they've been taken for froth, they've been taken for granted, you know. It's a masked thing that came from the bush, you know, it's not real. People should just simply say that, well, they've been signing blank checks, you know, they've been taken for a ride. People just need to retreat back to themselves. Let go, NRA, and when you say Aizuru, when you've lost the cause, whatever, you know, you've lost out, you know, just start afresh. Yes, start from somewhere, and I hope, and as a man, and other political parties, from my position, are very clear that we start afresh. We give Mr. Museveni a soft landing. We tell our people that we will not push to revenge, not push to break people's necks, but that Mr. Museveni must retire very urgently, leave NRA, and let a political party, a governing political party driven by a sense of values and ideals, whatever that political party is, I hope it's UPC, is able to give an opportunity. In any case, you don't govern, you don't control the power. And I'm saying this is a psychological thing that Asman and I will have battles over, because any political party that is coming in power, I'm sure, average you're going to say, that one, they're coming for 40 years. No, by the Ugandans. No, ideally, governance is not for 40 years. Governance should not even be for 10 years. Governance, you give a political party a mandate for 5 years, and you hope that over 5 years they're able to do whatever they're able to do. Yes. And so long as you have an opportunity, if you're not happy with them, you get rid of them after 5 years through the ballot. Okay. So, but you know, the transitional period, which is an imperative, the transition reality, which is an imperative, is basically what we need to tell Mr. Museveni. But Ugandans need to know that they got a raw deal. They got a raw deal from the bush, and it's not going to take us anywhere. You know, if you see the pace at which money is being lost, the pace at which these guys are stealing from Mabati to Lubowa to everything else, and you see the broken systems that we've got in terms of public service and everything else. And like I was trying to say, look, except that in a means time, if it happened, you know, almost certainly it will not be Idi Amin. You know, and if it's anything to do with any of our means ministers, there would be a direct response. As I said, a minister would go, the governor would go, heads of department would go, in this case, heads of IT, they would go. They don't go. So Ugandans, if these people don't go, what is it? You're just being taken for a ride.
Well, lastly, we don't even have a governor back.
Well, I wanted to say that, but I said it no longer relevant, because somebody is signing on.
Thank you so much.
And finally, of course, why shouldn't we have a governor bank?
4 years without a governor.
You're still watching the Hotline Show. My name is Karanga Edgar Matthew. I am still with Odaka Asuma from NEED, and of course Honorable Joseph Ochieno from the Uganda People's Congress. We take a break now. When we come back, we highlight on the issue of Dr. Besigye. I want to hear from these two gentlemen on that issue, and then after we shall look at the East African community. How best can we really consolidate the East African community? What are some of the achievements, but also what are some of the things that we can do better to improve the East African community as a clique, but also Africa as a whole. Thank you so much for watching. You're still watching the Hotline Show.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues. Real talk.
At first,